How are you doing right now?
I'm very good, thank you. I'm preparing for the show, so we're on in a couple of hours. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm gonna start with my first question. You just released an album.
Yep.
Not so long ago, 1 week. It's called Forever Wild. And what does it mean, Forever Wild? What do you mean by this title?
I think it means that, you know, at some point in your life, you grow older, you have like maybe a routine, and you have a family, and you have like, but I think everyone has this kind of feeling within that they can bring out sometimes. You know, at a festival, you go to a gig, you put on your favorite record from when you were young. I think it's important to keep that kind of spark still, you know. And I see these people around here, they're proof of that. You know, we have people from young ages all up to their 50s and 60s still enjoying this. So I think that in a way everyone is, you know, forever wild in a sense. And a couple of times a year at least you have to bring that out just to remember what life is all about, you know, basically. So I hope this album can help people stay forever wild, basically. Yeah.
So where are you in your life right now, and where do you gonna see yourself in 10 years?
Well, I'm very much in that part. As I said, you know, I now have a family and a wife. I have 2 children, so naturally, you know, the days when we started the band, when you were just a kind of enthusiastic, youthful guy and wanting to take over the world, you now have a little more distance to it. So I don't have any real expectations for the coming you know, time for this band. I think we're at a good place now and we're growing. I hope we still continue doing that, but I mean, those dreams of world domination, they're not really that important anymore, to be honest. So as long as it all works out, I'm really happy about it. You know, you get to see new places and new people, so that's awesome in itself.
New place, new people means you've been at Wildfest for the first time?
This is actually the second time in Belgium, and we were supposed to come here for a club show last year, but that didn't turn out, so we were feeling like we owe it to the Belgian people to kind of come back here and redo it. So we had this chance on Wildfest, and we were happy to return.
But the tour is called Forces Tour, not Forever Wild.
Yeah.
Freedom Forces, okay. Why is it called Freedom Forces?
Well, first of all, that was the working name for the album. So for a very long time it was supposed to be called that. And then at the end we added the last song on the album, which is Never Die Forever Wild. And the guys in the band actually thought that was a better name for the album in itself. But then we were stuck with this idea, okay, so what do we do with Freedom Forces? So we kind of used it for the tour, and it has to do with the imagery of us in the flight suits, and we kind of see ourselves as some kind of, you know, military group, but not there to wage war, but just to bring rock to the people, basically. So we're the Freedom Forces. We just want everyone to kind of be free from what they're doing, come see a show and be forever wild for a day or two, you know. So that's the mission.
Sounds cool. And if you, I mean, tomorrow is European election. If you could enforce one thing in the world, what would it be?
Oh, I've actually already voted. Yes, I had to pre-vote since we were here. And I'm actually of the opinion that I think that the EU shouldn't meddle very much in the kind of, you know, national decisions. So I guess the parts where I do think that the EU has a big role is like climate change or migration or you know, trade between countries. But apart from that, I think the EU should stay pretty small. So I know this may sound a bit strange in Belgium, the capital of the EU, but I wouldn't like EU to grow into like a federal state like we see in the US, for example. I would prefer it to be like a small, you know, cooperation between sovereign states. So I hope that that's the way it'll turn out in the future. But you know, as far as climate change, for example, or you know, international terrorism and all those kind of big questions that's hard for a nation to cope with, because it isn't within the borders of one country. It's the whole world. You know, that's where I think the EU will be able to make a difference.
Okay. Yeah, kind of good. And I read on the Facebook page that you actually are doing the booking by yourself. Is it true? You don't have a booking agent?
That depends a bit on which region we're talking about. We have a booking agent for Sweden and Scandinavia. We have one for Germany, but it's usually we have one for Italy as well. But it's usually loosely based. So a lot of the stuff, it gets dropped in our lap in the end, and a lot of stuff we manage ourselves. And I mean, we've been in the industry for so long now that I think we can handle most of the legal stuff behind it as well. So we have people working for us, but also a lot of the stuff ends up in our backyard, so to say. Yeah.
Yeah. About the new album. You just brought it out last week.
Yep.
And it's called Forever Wild, which would match Wildfest just perfectly.
Yeah.
But the date didn't work out to release it on this weekend.
No. We didn't set the date ourselves. We actually wanted it even earlier, but one thing that we really wanted to do was to have it out before summer. So I'm really happy that we managed that, because I think that it has a very good summer vibe to it, and I think it'll be, at least for some fans, it could serve as their kind of summer soundtrack, So I'm happy that we got it out before summer, and also to be able to play some of the new stuff on the festivals that are to come. So this Wildfest will actually kick off. It'll be the first festival. We had a gig. Our release show was last week in our hometown, but this is the first festival that we do. So in a way, it's a premiere still. So
yeah, we're kind of excited about what's coming on stage, and I don't know. That's a question I had for a longer time. Is it really true that in Sweden or Scandinavia in general, the government supports music education so that people learn to play instruments?
Yeah, in a way. When you're young enough, when you're like in elementary school, you can have like after school instrument lessons that are paid for by the government, or by the taxes basically. So we kind of chip in everyone to have that. But it's true. And also when you grow a bit older and want to start bands, you have like subsidies from the government to have your rehearsal space and stuff like that. So there is a lot of help. And I think often when the question comes up why Sweden manages to get out, for a small country, we still have a lot of bands from, and I think in part it has to do with that there is a sort of help from the community to at least financially help with people wanting to learn music.
And this is a question which I would have needed more of the band right now. But everybody says you're kind of one of the leading artists of Europe and Scandinavia. And who else are you right now personally listening to at home and think is very interesting and important in the future? Bands.
Well, mostly I listen to a lot of old music, and for natural reasons, those aren't very important anymore. For me personally, they are, but there are some bands that I think have something new to bring, and one of them I would definitely say is a Swedish band called Ghost. I'm sure you heard of them.
Yeah, sure I did.
They have grown quite big recently, and I think they bring back this kind of sense of theatrics back to the rock world, and also a bit of danger. Now Tobias is, of course, he's revealed, but for a long time there was this sense of mystique around it. You didn't know who he was even, and with the occult lyrics as well, that brought that dimension to it. So I think they're a very cool band. For me, the best album of last year was by a band called Night Flight Orchestra, which is also a Swedish band. It happens.
Actually, they are Swedish?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know about that.
And really awesome. I think they combine like disco with AOR and rock music. It's a strange combination, but really works well. And I've seen them live as well, so a really cool band. And I think those two are definitely interesting bands to check out. Yeah.
And totally different question.
Yep.
Did you watch Game of Thrones?
Yes.
What did you think about the ending?
in my mind, it ended totally differently, and that's the way it'll always be.
Yeah.
I wasn't so disappointed with what happened to the characters or who killed who, but for me they were building up the Night King as this kind of main villain for so long, and then they just ended it. And I think they did it because they want to, they want to sell in the prequels, I guess. That'll be about the whole backstory of the Night King. But for me, that was just such a great villain that they just didn't do anything with. So I was quite disappointed, and I was very invested in the shows. Actually, I know a lot of the lore behind.
Really?
I'm kind of a fantasy nerd actually from my youth. When you were young and you listened to hard rock, it wasn't very popular with the girls back then. So you kind of had this whole, role-playing games, hard rock, watching videos at home. You know the deal.
I know that one.
Yeah. So
I'm sorry.
So it was Dungeons and Dragons, and it was Lord of the Rings and everything. So yes, I enjoyed very much of the Game of Thrones. I still think it's a great series, but I think they botched the ending. And I think the critique from both the fans and the critics is pretty obvious. I think they rushed it basically. I think they're ready to do the Star Wars thing, and they kind of just wanted to rush the ending. That's how it feels.
They should have taken 10 episodes.
Definitely, yeah. And HBO was open for them to do it. They said, do as many as you want. This is great money for us, but they chose to end it prematurely. So
yeah, now you're going on stage pretty soon. Are you gonna play songs from the new album, and why are they so awesome?
Well, the reason that they're awesome is we've worked very, very hard on this album and put in a lot of effort to kind of get a balanced album that works as a whole as well. We will be playing all 3 singles that we release now, and we kept it at that mainly because I don't think that people have a chance to have heard the other songs very much, since the album has just been out for a week. But also, I usually don't like when bands release a new album and play too much of the new stuff.
So I know that feeling that you want to sing and dance with the old songs, and you don't get to hear them.
Yeah, so we're definitely doing a lot of the old kind of have to play songs. We have a couple of those that fans will be disappointed if we don't do. So we're doing those, and we'll be doing a lot of from our last album, Rough Justice, which was the first album with this lineup. So we'll be focusing on the albums with this lineup, and as I said, 3 songs from the new one. But we will try to add some more as the summer moves along. So when the album has been out more, we'll be adding some more stuff, hopefully. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Not taking any more of your time. Tell me again, who are you and what band are you playing at?
I'm Danny Rexon, lead singer of Crazy Lixx.